Damn, y'all feel it?
Yeah, yeah, uh, yeah.
What's the word, y'all? It's KTR underscore podcast, hashtag KTR. We are KTR. We are back and we're in the building for episode 55. Yes, it is the Cinko episode. Y'all live and direct with No Rose Podcast, hashtag KTR. We are KTR and my brothers, Big Harv and J-Bo himself. How are y'all feeling today?
I was doing good until you called it the Cinko episode, but I think I'm all right at this point. Harv, what about you?
I agree. That was very unnecessary and might have put a slight damper on the mood, but I think I'll make it through this episode.
I mean, it was only right, like people say, deuce, or Cinko, 5. We live like channel 5 plus another 5 on the side because episode 55, we live and direct, and we are back. And thank y'all for joining us today. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for tuning in. And before we dive into episode Cinko, y'all gotta do this one simple favor for us, and that is to real quick.
Oh my God. There goes your Cinko.
Yep. Follow us on all social media platforms, KTR underscore podcast, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. No Rose Podcast, Facebook, and YouTube. No Rose Podcast, all podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Probably World, everything. And don't forget to get your merch at prowrestlingtees.com/KTR podcast. Now, let's get down with this episode because we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to get into. And the first thing first we're going to talk about is, because last episode, episode 54, we talked about Mr. McMahon's retirement. Episode 55, we talking about the takeover from that retirement.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about Mr. Paul Levesque, Triple H himself. That man has been putting his fucking foot down ever since he got hold of creation and talent in this business. It's only been a couple of weeks, but these couple of weeks so far has been great. It has been interesting. I actually stayed up the whole time and watched WWE Raw for the full 3 hours straight. It was not bored. SummerSlam, great show. Nice surprises in there. We have more surprises been coming on with these shows lately. And yeah, pretty much so far so good. Like I said, it has been a couple of weeks. So time will tell how everything will go with Triple H and his planning of the business. But so far, in my opinion, it's been going well. But Big Harv, J-Bo, how do y'all feel about the direction that the WWE is going right now that it is in Triple H's hands?
Jerry Jarrett recently came out on an interview stating that a WWE employee released an announcement, or I guess you could say a memo, that Triple H has reached out on, as far as his direction. And in this memo, it stated Triple H mentioned that Vince McMahon was great in this role. He did wonders for WWE. WWE is where it's at today because of what he's done. And Triple H strategically said, we will never be what Vince McMahon has done, and we shouldn't try to be. We should go in our own direction. That was very smart to say. That was very smart, instead of saying, it's been going downhill lately, so we're going to make things better. No, he said, hey, look, he did such a great job. We could never fill those shoes. We're just going to start doing things our way. That was extremely smart. So now he definitely covered up his tracks, especially with how he's going to take wrestling going forward. We spoke last episode. This is extremely exciting, especially for wrestling fans who enjoyed the latest NXT before it went to NXT 2.0. One thing that I do find as a benefit, as a change, is that Stephanie McMahon, along with Nick Khan, is going to be the co-CEOs while Triple H is over creative and talent. That's actually very smart, because while Stephanie is handling the business side, which pretty much she was groomed to be, and I'm pretty sure she still has her hands on the talent side as well, especially in the women's division. But this gives Triple H nothing but focus on the wrestling and on the talent. And that's what we need. That's what WWE needs in the business. So as Cinko mentioned, we've seen nothing but great things. We've seen more tag team action. We've seen more wrestling on TV. We've seen, both female and male wrestlers came back. Most recently, we've seen Karrion Kross came back with a full head of hair that apparently threw Cinko all the way off.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, who's this guy there? What's that? Pat McAfee? This Karrion Kross? Like, is it Karrion Kross? I was confused. I'm like, usually when people are bald, they shave their head for a reason because their hair ain't full on the top of the scalp. That man got a full top on his head and a decent line, and I'm like, why he shave his head? I gotta think about they do be making people shave their head. That's what they did to old dude that looked like Brock Lesnar. Parker Boudreaux. Yeah, they made him shave his head for some odd reason. Yeah. So I'm like, damn, this dude really got a full head of hair.
Yeah.
So but my bad. I'm sorry.
No, you good, because the same way that Cinko felt when he saw Karrion Kross with hair, the same way we felt as we keep seeing more and more surprises come. So yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing from it, and I'm honestly believe I'm going to keep enjoying what I'm going to see.
All right, now it's time to hear from the biggest critic himself.
I agree though. Karrion Kross, I didn't care about it all. Prior to this, when they brought him up as a gladiator, I mean that was telling. You know what I'm saying? So I actually care about him now. He hasn't really done anything for me to care about, but the way that they ended him it left an impact. It makes you want to see more about what's going to happen in the future. So I thought that they brought him in smart, and they we talk about how they can't build people. They instantly made me want to see more of somebody. So that's plus everything that we've heard from the backstage reaction. I saw a clip of Triple H having like a forum and asking everybody in the room their opinion on different subjects and stuff. Like, he's really trying to get a feel for what's going on for morale and try to build a better company for the fan base and for the employees, it sounds like to me. So I feel like everything's going in a very positive direction. More changes happened than what we thought would happen. We all thought it was going to move a lot slower. But like you said at the beginning, he put his foot down. He came in and made sure that everybody knew that he was in charge and that the changes that he wanted to see were going to happen. So I'm looking forward to it. Same thing with, I watched it the whole 3 hours. I ain't going to say that I wasn't bored. Some of the fluff, I'm not a fan of the fluff, but it was a much more solid show. Much more solid show.
Yeah, because it's been crazy so far. You didn't even think about, we've been seeing new face, new changes, and people getting opportunities. We see Shayna Baszler, she has an opportunity right now. She got TV time because it was crazy back then. Shayna Baszler, when she first came on the main roster, she was dominant as hell.
Yes.
Beating everybody and became an afterthought. So I hope this builds her back up to her original morale where it should be, because she needs to be up there with her wrestling style, because we need that within the women's division currently right now with everything that's been going on lately. We see Ciampa finally getting out this hole where he was looked like he was quote unquote in the doghouse, losing to random people. And you see he has been having great matches. Now he has his opportunity with these with a title match coming up soon. So that's good as well. So we like to see that. What's another one that had, like I said, Karrion Kross came back. Ricochet, for J-Bo. Ricochet got himself some TV time. Start off SmackDown in great fashion. It was not boring. Like I said, I give him props. So shout out to Ricochet too as well. And he got a beard. So it's like we see all these changes. We see it positive. We see people getting opportunities, but at the same time, with people getting opportunities, some people are going to lose theirs as well. And it may be with some of the people that were Vince McMahon's people. So, at the same time, I feel like Triple H is a giving person, is going to give everybody the chance for TV time and make it do what it do with divvying it up and whatnot. But who do you think or see on the roster may be hindered from Triple H becoming head of creative right now?
Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin. He was the first that came to my mind right away. Because Baron Corbin is one of those type of people where, there's not much to him. He's tall, he's young, but, those are the type of wrestlers that fit the normal WWE build, okay? But even going back to your original point, I do believe there are going to be some wrestlers that are going to be put to the side, but it can't be nearly as many wrestlers as during the Triple H, Stephanie McMahon era. I think a whole lot more people is going to get a shine. I think Hunter is going to look for more in-ring ability than politics, than what you would look good on the media. So as of right now, it's kind of hard to say who's not going to get a shine. Roman Reigns is already part-time, so if anything, when he loses the belt, he's only going to be around for big matches. I think he'll still use Drew McIntyre. I'm just thinking about Vince McMahon's, particular people. I think Austin Theory will still be fine because Austin Theory was cool in NXT, so he'll be good on the main roster. So I don't know. Other than Baron Corbin, he's the only one right now.
Big Harv?
I think Charlotte Flair repositioned to more of a gatekeeper type role on these long storyline driven periods where she's the champion.
Hold on now.
Honestly, it's time to use her to put more people over because they need to, because it is absolutely necessary. That's just my honest opinion.
I don't know about all that. But yeah. It's like I said, it's an opinion, so we all have our opinion. So I mean, it's a horrible opinion, but hey, so yeah. Charlotte gatekeeper. This ain't Natalia. The hell, don't disrespect Charlotte like that.
I know a lot about bad opinions, horrible opinions. So if you say it's a bad opinion, I believe you. Thank you. Expert.
We're looking for another member for the KTR show. But nah, for me, I'll probably say it'll be somebody, maybe unfortunately, somebody like Omos. Because that was one of Vince McMahon's guys and everything. And like with him, he was a big giant and he was green, but also I remember reading whatever reports or dirt sheets were back then, that was like they kind of chose him over Braun Strowman for like bigger people.
I remember seeing that, yeah,
which was kind of weird because they did that because he was technically bigger than Braun Strowman. You got somebody of Braun Strowman's stature and size being somebody up like almost looks weird and takes out, which doesn't make sense because you had Bobby Lashley knock him out, so it is what it is. But I didn't agree with it, so. Hey, it is what it is. So I'm like almost, and also another person I would say probably is John Cena. Because Triple H being at this point, John Cena is not seeing a 17-time title.
You're right. Because Triple H
Triple H is not letting it happen at all. He making sure Ric Flair is staying at this position as a 16th time and nobody's going to beat that. So I feel like with Triple H being in his position, John Cena is not seeing the record of a 17-time champion.
I honestly don't think Cena wants the record as a 17-time champion. Cena is comfortable where he is. I don't think Cena comes back for anything more than just a part-time dream match type scenario. I don't think it's going to have a title involved. I
can see that too. I agree.
I just don't think that's his goal anymore. He's done everything he's had to do.
He's done more everything than what he wanted to do.
Right.
I don't think he wants to do anything else other than probably help the next future talent.
Yeah, I feel like he stands the passing of the torch, the importance of something like that more than him needing to validate himself with another championship.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't even care for Cena like that. So, but I honestly do feel like he's good in Hollywood, man. He's doing his thing. He's more comfortable, chilling.
Yeah, he found his niche now, so he good, and he married, so yeah, he chilling now. He basically done wrestling unless he gets asked to come back. Vince was his guy, so Triple H gonna be like, yeah, we'll call him maybe. Yeah, that's it. He ain't really gonna be looking for him no more, but that is what it is. So those are my 2 opinions right there for somebody who being hindered with their position. But we were talking about that with Ric Flair not getting his record being beat by John Cena, but also talking about Ric Flair with his last match show that he had. He teamed up with his son-in-law of Andrade and went against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal.
Okay.
Now, J-Bo, he bought the fight because of circumstance, because where he was at the time, he had nothing to do with his board. So he said, F it, I might as well go ahead and do it.
Yes,
I saw clips of it here and there, but I had a chance to actually see the fight later on, streaming it. And yeah, I wish I could have saved my $40. I don't know what made me want to buy it. I bought it after the fact, after I seen the clips on the internet.
Why?
It's like, why did you do it? Like,
I read what happened. There was no way I was gonna pay to watch. There was no chance.
Oh man, I know I spent a lot. I spent money on a lot of bad things in life, but that right there had to be top 3 of one of my worst purchases.
Damn. Oh my gosh.
Ric Flair's last match. He should have just kept that last match with him and Shawn Michaels because he did not need no. Jay, what was your opinion on it?
Oh, if I may, just as context, the real reason why I bought it, other than the fact that I was bored, was because the card actually was quite nice. Okay, they had the kind of like a Impact reunion tag team match between the Wolves and the Motor City Machine Guns. That was cool. I saw Jonathan Gresham in action. Everyone know that's my boy. I saw again Jordan Grace in action. So I mean, there was some other good matches on the card, but I need to give a shout out to Jeff Jarrett. He really worked the crowd as a heel. He did tremendous that night. For a night where we all pretty much was worried about the health and well-being of Ric Flair, he definitely diverted our attention. So I have to give him credit. But man, that match was hard to watch. It was hard to watch. It was like even the chops, it was like taking a piece of mail and like hitting a wall with it. It was not even really that effective. There was a spot in the match where Jay Lethal performed a suplex on Ric Flair. I can't tell you how loud that gasp was in that arena when he did hit that match because it looked deafening. There was even a moment in the match where personally I didn't like where Ric Flair faked a heart attack to kind of distract the ref, but it was just to do a thumb to the eye to Jay Lethal. Just everything in that match was bad. Even at the end of the match when he
the ending was just bad.
he kind of pinned himself. I mean, he was in the figure 4. All right, I get it, but he kept falling back. And he he kept falling back. Like we're like, oh my God, he's about to die in the ring. It was very I can't put it into words other than it just should not have happened. It just should not have happened. Jeff Jarrett made the match. Jay Lethal did what he could with the match. Andrade, he did what he could with Ric Flair in the match. It just should not have happened. That was probably one of his worst matches ever, and I hate that that's how you leave off his legacy. Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair at WrestleMania was freaking perfect. But that shouldn't have happened. Shout out to everyone else on the card, but that match just should not have ever happened.
It was real cringeworthy. It was like certain spots watching. Like I was like, just get out, please. Like I'm worried about your livelihood and your health right now. And you just
he has a maker on his heart.
I saw the clip. He couldn't even put the brass knuckles on his own fingers. All right, he could barely. That man was shaking like a leaf. That was the most ill-advised trash that they could have put on the card. That was not Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. No. It wasn't the type of environment. That man could have literally died. He could have been Mickey Rourke, who he could have been. He could have just off and that's it. pacemakers. It ain't no. It's bad. It wasn't smart, but I mean, I'm glad he survived. I'm not a Rick. Glad he survived, and hopefully he does not have any more weird ideas like that left in him.
Speaking of weird ideas, piggybacking off Harv, there was a interview Ric Flair did before the match saying that he wanted to do a dive off the top rope. But his daughter, Charlotte, was like, no, don't do it. And from how Ric Flair was talking, and the interview's online, I'm pretty sure anyone can find it, but he was saying, like, you know what? Nah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go out. I'm going to do it, whatever. I am so glad they did not do that spot. Because if that suplex looked that bad, I couldn't even imagine an elbow drop, a splash, or whatever the geriatric patient would have done. It just was not necessary. Man, that was bad.
Bad, yeah.
Yeah, I have no words. We're just gonna leave it at that because I don't want to talk because it's making me cringe on the inside just thinking about that match and the money I could have saved for it. Because think about I literally paid money just to watch that match. That's it.
Terrible, dude.
And like this card was good, but think about I feel bad because I didn't even like bother to watch it. I literally fast forward to the end, and I'm like. In watching that match, just made me not want to watch the whole thing. I was like, oh man,
Not going back after that. You ain't going back after that.
I can't. I was like, why? I'm like, why? That's all I asked was why. Yeah. It is what it is, but you know, I'm just glad he's okay. I hope.
Yes.
I hope. That's all I gotta
say.
Oh man, but speaking of, let's go back to the WWE real quick. You know. Talk about the business in there. And there was another topic that we did talk about, not last episode, but on episode 54, when we were talking and speaking about Liv Morgan. Because at the time we were talking about her, that's when she had won the Money in the Bank briefcase and cashed in the same night on Ronda Rousey and won the title. And we discussed, okay, congratulations to Liv. And we looked at it from a whole overall standpoint of how long will this last? What do we think about her getting the title and her opportunity and about her going forward? I watched our episode in that clip not too long ago before we started this show, just so we're recording right now. It heard all our opinions. And we were spot on. Except for the part when I said that she was going to lose her title to Ronda Rousey. But I did say if Ronda Rousey and her fought at SummerSlam, they were going to lose it. But technically she did lose because she tapped out. But at the same time, they saw the pinfall first. But yeah, everything we said pretty much is coming to fruition right now. It's coming to light. You know, it's being exposed. And like we said before we start talking about, I said we like Liv Morgan. We respect her as a person, a competitor. She has earned her way to where she is at within the WWE. But at the same time, we are going to have our opinions and keep it real. Not too long ago, this past episode of SmackDown, when she came out, you know, there was a few mixtures of cheers and boos. Her match at SummerSlam, she, like I said, she tapped out against Ronda Rousey, but she had her pinned down at the same time. And the crowd was chanting, you tapped out, you tapped out. Now it's a mixture of emotions about her with her title run as SmackDown's Women's Champion. So, J-Bo, gonna let you speak first. Since you literally said you're gonna give it a month.
Yeah.
Until the fans start realizing the real behind Liv Morgan. It's basically almost been a month now.
Yeah.
It's just a couple of days. So go ahead and speak on it.
I don't want to say that I was right, but I was right. So the issue with Liv Morgan is that the fans are different. We kind of spoke off the show about this, but Rhea Ripley made a comment on Twitter saying that The fans are fickle, but then she went into character and said, "Oh, join the Judgment Day," and that kind of stuck out to me because not that the fans are fickle, the fans are just a bit more objective now. If you think back to prior, I would say prior digital age, back when everyone just watched wrestling and you either believed that it was or you didn't really know if it was choreographed or not, but you still watched it. You can make anyone believe anything. Any wrestler who was good or bad, you was going to be behind them anyway. But then now that we're in the social media era, like we're going to point out things that we don't like. We're watching more matches. We're bringing them back. We're pointing out things that's just not good. And then also we got screwed over where people like John Cena was forced into the spotlight, taking out all the wrestlers that we actually care about. So I'm bringing all that up because if we go to Liv Morgan, let's be real. Out of all the wrestlers that's on the women's roster, she is not on top tier. She's just not. She is not. And yes, it is a feel-good moment that she won the women's championship. But just like I said in one of our last episodes, it was not going to last long because an underdog can only go so far if they're not that good in the ring yet. She's still green, in my opinion. She is. And we're talking about underdogs. Look at somebody like Rey Mysterio. He's somebody who's compared to the other size wrestlers is an underdog, but he can bring it in the ring. He got the talent, he got the wrestling ability. Obviously, he has the lineage. So that makes sense. She is an underdog where you're an underdog for a reason. You're an underdog for a reason, respectfully. And the fact that the whole thing with Ronda Rousey and I don't even care. The fact that she even went into the match as the champion against Ronda Rousey and left out with the belt, to me, that just does not make sense. It just doesn't. That honestly should have went out as a disqualification or a count out, but they had to make it somewhat believable, and it still wasn't, in my opinion. The match shouldn't have even lasted that long with somebody like Ronda freaking Rousey. And I don't even care for Ronda Rousey that much.
Exactly. I don't even like Ronda Rousey, but this shouldn't have happened.
Look, the matches that she had with Natalya is even hard to watch, man. It's just I
wasn't gonna say it, but
no. The matches they had live shows and that wasn't good. Then they put that mess on TV and it still wasn't good. And that was supposed to be the match to define her as the women's champion. And it did the complete opposite. It showed everybody like, oh my gosh, she's not that good. And so now more and more fans are picking up on that. And the whole thing with Ronda Rousey and her tapping out that just helps prove our point. So yeah, I hope the belt gets taken off eventually. I respect her work. I respect everything that she has put into the business because she does work hard. But just because you work hard still does not mean that you are good at what you do. That just means you work hard. That's all. I'm done.
When J-Bo keeps it real.
All right.
J-Bo brought the passion tonight. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I agree for the most part. I don't feel like it's because she can't wrestle that people are disconnecting, though. I feel like the angle backfired. The only realistic way for her to keep the title was for some BS to happen. There was no straight way for her to win the title. If there was a plan for her to turn heel, this would have been a great angle. I don't think they plan on turning her heel. So it's just not working out because realistically, she didn't win. She tapped out way before the 3 count. She tapped out by 2. It was obvious. So I feel like people are saying you tapped out because you legitimately tapped out. I think it's going to be pockets of fans, pockets of crowds. Some are going to cheer, some are going to boo and really lean into that. But I agree that she doesn't need the title. She shouldn't have kept the title. Should have been a feel-good moment, and that's it. There's really no way to establish her because she is not great in the ring. She works hard, like we said that last time. She's tried to establish herself. That's how she got as popular as she is. She just can't carry the title. There's no way for her to do that believably for a long stretch. There's just not. So I
guess what I'm struggling with is what angle would she even have for it to be believable? Like here, like Harv, you mentioned, and I agree. There was a point where it's she has to be more conniving, she has to be more sneaky with it. But even she makes it hard to believe, even if she is, pulling like a Miz or like a typical wrestler who likes to find a way to cheat. it's even hard to make that believable. I don't know. It just, especially now that she's getting that main event feel, a lot of the stuff, both wrestling wise and storyline wise, it's very, very difficult for where she is.
She's not a believable character in the ring. I mean, the best they could have did is have Ronda Rousey beat her to a pulp and lose by disqualification.
Yeah.
That is true. Like,
would have gained.
She just keep beating her until after like that 5 count.
Yep.
Like she just keep punching her. Like after the 5 count, just keeps going. Like they ring the bell. That's the only way. Because because like I said, I'm not a big fan of Ronda Rousey, but how they portray her within the business. If Ronda Rousey is on their roster and Liv Morgan on there, and like if there was like I'm a big man for the odds spreadsheet, the odds of Ronda Rousey winning is 1 million. So it's just like that's the thing about it. And so I'm like, because Ronda Rousey being on that roster, that's what makes everything unbelievable with Liv Morgan being champion, unfortunately. And like I said, what Harv said, like the only way to make that believable for her to retain the title was to just have her just get beat and get disqualified, because the tapping out with the pin, that was just like a little and I told you what was gonna happen after. I'm like, well, she's gonna get suspended, so she's gonna have time off. Then she's gonna come back for like the next pay-per-view, which probably be maybe Survivor Series in November. They're gonna get the title back to her, something like that,
Shoot, she could even get help. She could start, I don't know, bringing in other women from.
That's what I'm saying. Like, get her a manager or something, or
of that.
Right now, it's too late to turn heel.
Yeah,
that really would work unless she was a heel, though. She's already a pimp, so bringing in people to help, that doesn't make sense. You earned it. You shouldn't need people to help you keep it. That's heel-like behavior. Bringing in something to talk for as a manager, heel-like behavior. You already got the title. It doesn't make sense. So that's really nothing for them to do except turn her heel. She be a weasel and do little stupid stuff and, knock them out when the ref's back is turned. Little cheap stuff. She can do stuff like that and have a believable reign 2-3 months. It's not going to last forever, but that's the way it'll work. She's not, as a face, they got to get the title off of her. They just do.
Yeah.
No, she don't have a long shelf life.
Yeah.
No, not in her character, not in her gimmick or her in-ring. It is not long-term as face champion, as Harv has mentioned. It's not.
Sure.
And if they want it to last, they need to make a change.
Right. Like I said, hope for the best for her and everything. I hope the creative gets it right with the storyline, how it will change the direction for her. Because right now it's not looking too good, but at the same time, we respect her work and her work ethic within the business, and hope to get better and hope to see a change in there.
I'd love for her to succeed. You know what I'm saying? They need somebody new to succeed.
Right. They do badly.
Right for it. No.
So we'll see what happens. But last topic, since we were talking about SummerSlam for a little bit, let's talk about one thing that did catch my interest in SummerSlam, and that is social media sensation Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Logan Paul was not bad. His in-ring ability was not bad at all. He's probably one of the best. So he probably had one of the best celebrity matches in wrestling.
Coming into it.
Yeah, coming into it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, with what he does, how celebrities come in, do a match here and there. Then they did on that level. Yeah, I'm saying that he's probably one of the best celebrity matches I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely better than Rey Mysterio's son by far. They need to replace contracts. if we being real.
They replace contracts.
They paying Logan Paul more than they paying Junior.
You say what?
I'm sure they paying Logan Paul more than they paying Junior.
Okay, well they should change the years of the contract or something, but keep the money the same. I said if Dominic Mysterio, I just said the man name for the first time in my life. If Rey Mysterio's son,
this is
loving it. If Rey Mysterio's son is making 6 figures right now in the WWE, I have a problem. That's all I'm saying. I don't count people's pockets, but I have a problem with that. That's all I gotta say. I'm gonna leave it at that. But anyway, back to Logan Paul. Like I said, not bad in the ring, and the way that match came out with The Miz was actually surprising because it was really hard to try to get the crowd over with him because people already don't like him overall as a person and just how he is. But the thing about he garners so much attention and notoriety to his name and his brand. But at the same time, people just do not like him. He was always getting booed every time they try to bring him into shows, guest appearances, all the way leading up until SummerSlam. And he made that crowd do a whole 180 and cheer for him at the end of the day.
Wrestling is weird like that, man. That's a place where only that can happen is in the wrestling ring. Because people real life don't like dude, but when he start actually putting on a good performance, you know what I'm saying?
Right. They literally booed him all the way to this match. They booed him every time he was on Raw. They booed him when he came out and tried to jump the Miz beginning of the show. They literally booed him every show leading up to SummerSlam. Then SummerSlam, he had everybody on their feet cheering his name. I did not think that could possibly happen.
At all.
All you just need is a frog splash onto an announce table, and that's what get the crowd going, apparently. Go ahead, speak on it. That's all I had.
No, you good. It's I don't know. People who knows my style of analyzing matches, I always obviously look at wrestling first before I look at the entertainment side. I feel that you can keep a good crowd entertained even if wrestling isn't even the core of the match. And so when I look at Logan Paul, he looked like somebody who's actually been in a few matches, before stepping to the ring, like more than just him teaming with The Miz at Mania. I am actually impressed. To be honest, I'm more interested just seeing a match with him than I do with Bad Bunny, because Bad Bunny, he got a good flip Canadian destroyer, but that's pretty much one of the main moves he got. With Logan Paul, you can actually see some good moves come in and out. The only thing that I don't like, and this is just my whole thing with big time wrestlers or with celebrities, that they're part-time. They're going to get shine. They're going to get bigger profile matches over wrestlers who can not only throw down in the ring, not only can entertain the crowd, but who's working hard regularly in the sport, and that's all they got. While somebody like Logan Paul, he, like you said, he has a brand, he has everything else working for him, and he can come in here, have one match with The Miz, and here we are, we're talking about it. It's kind of upsetting in a sense, but at the same time, I got to give the man the credit where it's due. It does look like he has been putting in the work. He does look like he's been putting in the training, and his two matches he had in wrestling kind of already proved that. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing what else we'll get from him.
I agree with all that, man. You hit it on the head. To me, I don't really care about the celebrity matches and the part-timers as long as they aren't taken away from championships. That's my with it. I don't mind, like Undertaker, he was part-time for years, but he wasn't fighting for championships. He was a spectacle match. That's why I said Cena coming back, I don't think he would fight for a championship. It would just be a spectacle match. Shawn Michaels, he was more regular, but he was still a top-tier talent. He didn't care about the title. He just wanted spectacle matches. I feel like as celebrities, that's what they should amount to. To your credit as well, Logan Paul looked like he put a lot into it. Like he actually studied. He told a good story. He looked natural, like he had been there for a while. Despite having one match, it looked like he'd had a couple years. So with that, it's kind of hard to be upset with it if they do try to insert him in some things, unless it's for, to me, the top title. Yeah. I could do mid-card stuff, some tag team stuff, sure. But the top title, no celebrity, no part-time. You got to be all in with that. Roman Reigns, I understand a little bit. But it's coming time for somebody more full-time to take that off of. The way that they did the build to SummerSlam just wasn't it for me.
Yeah. Because half the matches on SummerSlam card were part-timers.
Yeah. Man.
Out of the 8 matches, 4 of them were part-timers in there. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've been talking about how much of a problem that is. We've been talking about it.
Like I said, hopefully comes a change with that since Triple H is in his position within the business. And hopefully that'll be the last time we will see a spectacle like that. Besides WrestleMania, because WrestleMania is a little bit different, you know.
Right.
2 nights, 8 shows on each, you know, night, you know. So it's gonna be a couple celebrities here and there because that's a whole ordeal right there. But you know, just for these pay-per-views, just keep the part-time presence to a bare minimum. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
But that's all the time we have for this episode. Oh yeah, one more thing I forgot to say before this episode is over. Make sure everybody's in. God bless Rhea Ripley. Okay. That's all I have to say. God bless Rhea Ripley and nobody else.
God bless Rhea Ripley the same way that he blessed Rey Mysterio Jr.
He don't even know what to do with all that.
This is like some of the most attention he has since his match with Seth Rollins for the first time.
Rhea Ripley, continue to do what you were doing in that ring and on TV and on Instagram. We love it. I love it. That's all I have to say.
Waiting on that new album, baby, MGK.
Anyway, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for listening. This is episode 55. We appreciate all the listeners. We appreciate y'all tuning in. We appreciate everything, all the love and support. And before we sign off today, y'all got to do one simple favor for us, and that is to follow us on all social media platforms, KTR_podcast, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Know the Roast Podcast, Facebook, YouTube. Know the Roast Podcast, all podcast platforms. Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, World, everything. And don't forget to get your merch at ProWrestlingTees.com/KTR Podcast. This is the Cinko episode 55. KTR signing out, and we are out.
In honor of MGK, what should they do, Big Harv?
Just like the numbers on that first single. When it debuts, pump them numbers, baby.
Y'all fired.
That don't compute in my mind. I must be out of mind. Black fist high, rally up before we out of time.